itong linggong 'to nasaksihan po natin yung, pagtatapos ng, direct examination at cross-examination ng, COA, State Auditor. At, sa susunod na linggo inaasahan po natin na panibagong testigo na ang ihaharap ng, prosecution sa katauhan ni Ma'am Marivic Pareja. Kasama po dito sa mga sinabina si yung dalawang SDO Gina Acosta ng, OBP at, si Edward Fajarda ng OBP. At nagdagdag po kami ng isang testigo na aming, naka-line up sa katauhan ni Mr. Limuel Ortuño. So, kami po ay, handa ng, sumagot sa inyong mga katanungan. Maraming salamat po.
Siguro, bago ho ang lahat, very important ho siguro na magsuma, ngayon pong araw na ito, doon po sa naging takbo ng, impeachment proceedings at, doon sa iba pang mga, kaganapan nito pong, nagdaang mga araw 'no. So, very important po na, ipunto na hindi po na-distract yung pong, prosecution doon sa presentation of, evidence despite, the spectacle that we had seen, in which the defense was complaining about several things, no? Very important po, to state na nung pong, naisalang po yung lahat ng COA witnesses, no, si, Mr. Wamil tsaka si Miss Del Campo, talagang malinaw po yung, naipakita nila na meron po talagang aktual na batayan kung bakit nagkaroon ng notice of disallowance yung pong OVP at, yung pong, paggamit po nila ng confidential funds. Malinaw bakit pinapasoli yung pong 73 million despite, the cross-examination of, the defense panel. Very important to make the point, for example, na yung usapin po ng, fictitious names, no? Ang, tanong naman ho doon, hindi lang po si, Mary Grace Piatos kasi nakakatawa yung binabanggit nila na binanggit ba ang, mga acknowledgement receipts sa notices of disallowance. Obviously, wala naman ho talaga yun doon. Pero, companion documents po yan, eh. Kasi yan po yung naging batayan bakit, nagkaroon ng notices of disallowance in the first place, no? And more importantly, si Mary Grace Piatos, to reiterate, siya po yung nakatanggap ng pera, 70,000 in rewards as medicines. Hindi ba? And that is specifically the basis for the disallowance itself. Hindi ba? So, we cannot pretend na just because the fictitious names were never mentioned there, hindi na ho yan kasama doon sa batayan po nung, pinapasauli sa atin pong pangalawang Pangulo, not just at the level of a notice of disallowance, but also at the level of the final decision of, the COA itself, no? So, I think that needs to be clear. And secondly, babalik pa rin ho tayo sa punto na hindi ginamit yung confidential funds para sa, yung pong, stated purpose nung pong, funds na binabanggit, no? Again, nakalagay doon sa listahan, ginamit sa Christmas party, yung pong, confidential funds na ito. And again, we will reiterate na kung gusto niyo mag-Christmas party, huwag niyo gamitin yung confidential funds. Gamitin yung pera niyo para mag-Christmas party, bumili ng crispy pata para sa inyo pong mga, happy-happy sa opisina at sa kung saan mang lugar, no? Yun po yung, dagdag na punto. And, very important, yung fact na even if ulit-ulitin ho natin na, hindi, ginamit naman para sa mga supposed confidential activities, ito pong mga bagay na ito, yung pong fact na binigay yung confidential funds sa mga non-organic OVP at DepEd personnel, Mr. Lachica, Mr. Nolasco, doon pa lang po mismo nagkaroon na ng misuse ng confidential funds, no? Kasi nga, hindi ho pwedeng gamitin ang confidential funds ng mga tao na hindi naman po tauhan ng mga opisina po na meron pong, confidential funds. And, very relevant po yung binabanggit na ng COA nitong nagdaan, which is the fraud audit. So, ibig sabihin, this is an entirely separate, discussion already, doon po sa level po ng Commission on Audit. And it is something that we would support. Kasi nga, nakita ho natin, ang sabi ho ni Ms. Del Campo, hindi pa saradong-sarado kahit meron pong credit memorandum pong inilabas. No? So, pagka nagkaroon po ng fraud audit, particularly para silipin pa ho further kung paano nga ho ba winaldas ito pong pera na ito. So I think that is something that will further the case of the prosecution on the misuse of confidential funds. No? And siguro as a final point, very interesting po yung fact na the Vice President went to appear in the grave threats proceeding of Congressman Paulo Duterte yesterday. But she does not have any plans, I think, to attend her own proceedings, which includes grave threats. No? Natapos na ho yung grave threats at lahat, hindi pa rin po nagpakita ang pangalang Pangulo, and it speaks to the manner by which he actually treats the impeachment case itself. No? And syempre, related to this is, I think they had filed a motion to quash on her own grave threats complaint. And to reiterate, talagang this really shows na yung pong mechanisms for accountability for the Vice President, whether through the impeachment proceeding, trial, and through the Department of Justice proceedings, ay nagpapatuloy. And these are separate proceedings na kailangan po talagang harapin ng pangalang Pangulo. No? At hopefully in the next couple of days, and next couple of weeks, haharapin po niya. Yun po muna. Maraming salamat. Zia?
Meron lang po ako'y dadagdag dun sa punto na na-mention po ni Congressman Terry Ridon. Kung titingnan po natin yung naging presentasyon, yung cross-examination ng depensa, meron po silang nabanggit na mga activities daw na po pwedeng pinagkunan o pinaggastosan itong confidential funds. Pero kung titingnan po natin, nung redirect na po ng prosecution, nalaman po ng taong bayan itong mga activities na ito ay ginawa bago po na in cash or na-release yung confidential funds. Hindi po pwedeng retroactive yung expenses ng confidential funds at hindi maaari mong i-reimburse doon sa mga activities ng inyong opisina na hindi siya angkop doon sa joint circular. Yung pagsisecure po sa Vice President kung pumunta siya ng Davao na ang ginamit niya ang kanyang mga mismong mga security detailed sa kanya na more than 400,000 tapos gagamitin mo to as your utilization report and accomplishment report using the expenses of the confidential funds to say to the COA na merong pinaggamitan, hindi po ito, according sa ICFAO, hindi po ito saklaw ng joint circular dahil unang-una, ang activity na ito naganap bago i-release ang confidential funds. Pangalawa, yung mga under na sa isang ahensya na kumukuha na ng regular funding ay hindi mo po pwedeng augment yung kanilang dapat na mapagkunan ng expenses doon sa confidential funds. Very klaro po yan. So, sa ating mga taong bayan, unang-una, apart yung sinabi po ni Congressman Terry, kung kayo po ay magte-tree planting, magka-Christmas party at gagamitin yung confidential funds, wag niyo hong gamitin yan. Pangalawa, wag niyo hong gamitin yung confidential funds para reimburse yung lahat ng activities na ginagawa regularly o administratively ng inyong ahensya dahil hindi po yan saklaw ng joint circular patungkol po sa paggamit ng utilization funds, confidential funds or intelligence funds.
Ayan, salamat po sa ating mga panauhin. Siguro ready na tayong tumanggap ng mga katanungan. Tina, go ahead.
Good morning po, Kongs. With the impending ruling and warning of the presiding officer of the impeachment court, have the prosecutors discussed or agreed upon certain actions to avoid such violations in the future, like kunyari po ban on social media posts related to the impeachment?
Well, at the moment, ang pagtingin naman po namin, each and every press briefing, ambush, and the social media posts that are being undertaken by House prosecutors and the private prosecutors are within the realm of informing the public, making it understandable to them. Mahalaga po na hindi po ito sasagka doon sa kahalagahan para maunawaan ng publiko yung pang-araw-araw po na takbo ng impeachment trial na mayroon po tayo ngayon. Very important din po for everyone, all the parties to take note na talaga pong valid yung binabanggit na nagiging very technical at nagiging very over judicialized yung pong ating proceedings, no? At it does not serve the interest of the public pagka po magkakaroon ng further restrictions on trying to explain to the public yung pong pagtakbo ng mga proceedings po na ito. Bawat piraso ng ebidensya, technical man ito, ay dapat na ipapaliwanag ng bawat partido, ng depensa, ng prosecution, kahit ng korte mismo sa atin pong taong bayan. So, I think, irrespective of what the Senate Impeachment Court will uh, issue on Monday or the next week, that principle should still be upheld, no? Yung overarching importance of informing the public, una, bakit mahalaga ang paglilitis po na ito? Pangalawa, bakit mahalaga ang mga bawat piraso ng mga ebidensya na ito? Yung bisa o hindi o kawalan ng bisa nito pong mga ebidensyang ito dapat na ipapaliwanag ng husto ng lahat ng partido, ng prosekusyon, ng depensa at kahit ng korte po mismo. So, I think we will just wait, no, for what the presiding officer will issue on Monday. But as far as we are concerned, I think we had maintained yung pong pagtalima doon po sa mga limits that is imposed by the rules, the current rules of the Senate Impeachment Court.
Dadagdag po ko yung sinabi ni Congressman Terry. Ito pong impeachment trial na to, this is the first impeachment trial that is being conducted at the age of social media. Apart from mga fake news po na nakikita natin, yung mga splice videos. Kami po dito sa House Prosecution Panel, kung ano po yung magiging direktiba ng impeachment court, very consistent po ang stand ng House Prosecution Panel. Tatalima po sila, irerespeto po nila at mag-a-adjust po ang House Prosecution Panel in compliance kung ano po yung magiging direktiba ng impeachment court. Ang inaasahan din po ng taong bayan ay hindi lang po dito sa both panels, no, sa prosecution at saka sa defense, pero tumalima din and strictly to also to observe yung Senate rules of impeachment. Mapapansin niyo po sa mga nakaraang weeks, no, may mga senator judges po na nagpo-post din po ng mga splice videos na ito'y nagpapakita na hindi tamang konteksto during the oral arguments, no? Kung inanais po natin na maawasan po natin yung ma-violate yung sub judice rule, ay sana hindi lang po ito ma-impose lang po sa isang particular na panel tulad po sa prosecution or sa depensa, pero sana rin po ay matalima strictly ang ating mga quiz sitting senators na hindi mag-avoid din po sila. So any uploading or any content on social media that would also violate sub judice rule. So mapapansin po natin yung ganong klaseng sistema sana maging universal yung application at tatalima po ang buong korte, not just the prosecution panel, the defense, but as well as our Senate sitting senator judges.
Well, unang-una, no, yung pinagkaiba kasi ng impeachment sa regular court, ang impeachment kasi, this is imbued with public interest. Bakit po namin sinabing public interest? Dahil unang-una, ito pong nasasakdal o yung subject po ng impeachment ay public official na hinalal ng taong bayan. Kaya siguro nararapat lamang na ang taong bayan ay maunawaan kung ano talaga yung nangyayari sa loob ng impeachment proceedings, kung bakit kinasuhan, kung ano ang mga grounds, kung ano ang mga ebidensya na nilalatag ng magkabilang partido, ng prosecution at ng depensa. At hayaan natin yung taong bayan ang mag-assess. Kung tayo ay bagamat nirerespeto natin na talaga namang may limitasyon. In fact, kung makikita ninyo sa maraming pagkakataon, may mga interviews na halos hindi rin namin masagot yung mga tanong, hindi dahil sa ayaw namin sagutin, bagkus nakatali kami dito sa Senate rules na huwag kaming magdi-discuss ng merito ng kaso. Pero kasi sana bigyan natin ng konting flexibility, ng luwag dahil ito nga ay impeachment case kung saan ang tinitignan dito at sinasakdal ay tinitignan yung fitness niya na magsilbi sa taong bayan. Kaya kung hindi naman namin maipapaliwanag, lalong-lalo na po kami na nasa prosecution, kasi kami ang nakakakita ng kabuuan ng presentasyon ng ebidensya. Kung hindi naman namin ito maipapaliwanag ng maayos sa ating mga kababayan, ay baka hindi rin nila maunawaan kung ano po talaga ang nangyayari sa loob po ng impeachment court. Pero siyempre, kami naman po ay rerespetuhin namin kung ano ang magiging hatol o kung ano magiging desisyon ng ating mga senator judges. Basta't kami dito, gagawin lamang namin kung ano ang aming trabaho at kung ano sa tingin namin ang nararapat.
Siguro as a final point, tingin ko po malinaw naman yung red lines eh. Doon po sa informing the public objective ng lahat po ng partido, no? Ang red line naman po dito, ilang mga bagay lang. Fake news, misinformation, disinformation. Tingin ko po, wala hong problema kung ang gagawin po ng prosekusyon at depensa, ipapaliwanag ho nila yung naging takbo po ng presentasyon ng ebidensya at ano po yung naging pagtingin po nila dito. Di ba? Pero kung halimbawa magdadagdag sila ng mga detalye na hindi naman po talaga nabanggit doon po sa proceedings, yun, tingin ko papasok ho sa fake news, disinformation, or misinformation po ito. And I think the point needs to be clear also na sa totoo lang, the further you restrict official communications by the defense, the prosecution, and the court itself, dyan po nagkakaroon ng vacuum for disinformation, misinformation, fake news noong pong mga other malign actors eh. Hindi ba? So let us not kid ourselves na this is just about the parties and the court, no? Kasi ang totoo, because this is a sui generis proceeding, talaga po nga meron pong mga interest, no? Yung po nga iba't ibang mga panig, no? Hindi ko sinasabing para sa prosecution o para sa depensa, para guluhin yung po nga takbo ng presentasyon ng ebidensya na hindi ho nakadikit sa katotohanan. So, I think when the Senate Impeachment Court lays out particular guidelines on public information objectives, dapat makita po nila ito. That the further we restrict official communications by the parties and the court, a vacuum will be created, and that is when malign actors might be able to fill it. And I don't think it serves any further interest, whether the parties or the public interest itself.
Nabanggit po ninyo yung spliced videos plus yung pronouncement po ni VP Duterte na merong bending of the law in the trial. Ito pong dalawang ito, i-raise niyo po ba before the court during the trial?
Walang konteksto naman kung babalikan po natin, ang naging konteksto po nung last week na hearing ay yung post po ng aming private prosecutor, no? Yung sinasabing ano yung pupwede sa cross-examination ng misleading. Ang sinasabi lang po natin dito ay gusto po natin ng kung gusto po natin na stricto yung magiging compliance dun sa sub judice rule, dapat po pagkapantay-pantay yung pagtingin. Comprehensive po dapat po yung ating pagtingin sa lahat po ng dapat nating i-allow at hindi allow. May mga nangyari po prior to that na kung tatanungin po ang taong bayan ay mukhang nagpapakita din ng hindi pagsunod doon sa mga sa sub judice rule. Unang-una, ang Vice Presidente, sabi niya may bending of the rule. Ito ay sa aming palagay, ito ay direktibang reference sa integrity at insulto sa integrity ng korte, ng impeachment court. Pero wala po tayong naririnig na kung paano po at least ma-admonish ang defense panel para pagsabihan ng respondent na wag niyang iinsultuhin o wag niyang magbibigay ng any statement that would weaken the integrity of the impeachment court. So kami po naman sa House Prosecution Panel, tumatalima naman po kami, very consistent po yung nagiging response ng ating House Prosecution Panel sa lahat ng direktiba po ng impeachment court ay sinusunod po namin, nag-a-adjust po ang House Prosecution Panel patungkol po sa mga bagong direktiba na nilalabas po ng House Prosecution Panel. Ang aming pong posisyon, kung meron pong directive on this coming Monday, kami po itatalima. Pero I think it's also fair to say na may mga statements and mga spliced videos na lumabas which actually contradicts the very principle why the Senate has to maintain its impartiality. And on the part of the Vice President, she has made mention about bending the law, which actually opposes the very foundation which the court needs to hold itself, no, the integrity of the court. Kasi para po sa amin, insulto po yan at dinidegrade po ang integridad ng ng impeachment court.
Well, to answer the question directly, it is something that we may raise, no? Whether during oral arguments, during the in open court, or as a written manifestation. Kasi, again, to be honest with it, totoo naman ho, hindi ba? Mas mabigat ho yung questioning the integrity of the court that had been stated by the Vice President. At yun po ay, syempre, doon po sa mga senator judges, totoo naman ho, may napinsala naman po talagang House Prosecutor, hindi po ba? When a spliced video of him speaking was released. No? So, I think if it's something that the Senate Impeachment Court would really want to undertake, ito pong providing guidelines for how the court, the parties should engage with the public. Dapat all of these particular details should be incorporated in the guidelines itself. No? Kasi hindi naman huubra na yung pong reklamo lang po ng depensa, yung pong magiging batayan dito po sa guidelines na ito. Kasi again, going back to the transcript itself, sobrang linaw naman ho nung napanood ho natin. Wala hong batayan para magreklamo yung depensa kasi nung sinabi ho yung it is allowed, kinat pa nga niya si Attorney Kapunan eh. Hindi ba? So, paano po yun magiging batayan nito pong reklamo nila on one of our private prosecutors. So, to sum it, kailangan lang po, dapat makita ho lahat ng Senate Impeachment Court, yung po mga instances, nung pong tingin din ho namin, meron pong paglagpas dito po sa bagay po na ito.
Sa ngayon, ang nakikita pa lamang po natin ng bending the law ay yung pagliliquidate po nila ng confidential fund. So other than that, wala na po tayong nakikita na bending the law.
Sir, just in case ang ruling ng impeachment court ay may violations ang certain prosecutors or members of the prosecution panel, ano po ba yung pwedeng penalties? And pwede bang i-apela yun na wag nang patawan ng parusa?
Syempre, we would opt to wait no for what the presiding officer will state. No? Pero tingin ko hindi naman ho pwede magbigay ng penalty there and then kung hindi naman ho informed yung mga tao. Syempre, due process concerns pa rin naman po yung pinag-uusapan po natin dito. So, a right to respond on whatever supposed violation should still be given no, to concerned parties. But I think ang mas ilalabas po talaga ng atin pong Senate Impeachment Court on Monday would be yung pong general or specific guidelines for the public engagement of all the parties dito po sa proceedings po natin.
Last question ko po is non-impeachment. May comment po ba kayo doon sa nasa affidavit ni former Secretary Bonoan that there is a leadership fund in the budget, and for the members of the House, 500 million per district ang inilaan sa party lists, 120 million for 2023 to 2024 na tinaas po sa 150M to 2025.
Well, I speak as House Public Accounts Chair no, and House Infrastructure Co-Chair. Ito po mga detalye na ito, very important ho na bigyan ho ng further details no ni Secretary Bonoan kasi siya naman ho yung nagbulalas nito pong bagay na ito, not just for the House but also for the Senate, no. So ibig sabihin, again, it's going to be the same flow naman po that whether the Ombudsman or the Sandigan Bayan should look into, una, confirm whether there is a leadership fund, no? If there is, what are these particular line items, no? And if you see the line items, was it implemented, no? If it is implemented, tama ba yung implementation? Were the ghost projects? Are these sufficiently completed projects or are these substandard projects, no? So we leave it to the Ombudsman to make further inquiries on the matter po.
Unang-una po yung pagpe-prepare po ng National Expenditure Program. Alam naman po natin na meron pong mga bawat ahensya ay priority for the entire country, and the distribution of that allocation for per agencies in order to service the community is per district ang kanilang appreciations. As to the leadership fund, sabi ko nga po, nag-uusap ko nga po kami ngayon ni Congressman Joel dito we're not privy to that kind of discussion, yung leadership funds. No, I think sabi nga ni Congressman Terry, it's for the former Secretary Binoan to fill in the additional details para ma-appreciate po kung ng korte na pinag-uusapan nga nila dito ngayon sa Sandigan Bayan. But as to how the House of Representatives approached the budget into 2025, nakita na niyo mo po na nakalatag po yung live stream, yung ating pagbabudget. These are the reform that we have instituted para po mas klaro and mas transparent yung naging pagbabalangkas ng mga pondo ng ating taong bayan. So as to whether or not there are allocations per district, hindi mo naman po para sa mga congressman yan. So nakaupong mga district congressman, para naman po yan sa mga ahensya na nagde-distribute o nag-implement ng mga proyekto sa mga districts. So ang nangyayari lang po, bilang mga kongresista ng per district, kaya nga po nagkakaroon tayo ng briefing para makita po natin kung paano po yung accomplishment ng per agencies nila implement ang kanilang programa at proyekto na naaayon doon sa National Expenditure Program at targeted kung kanino at saan na mga distrito ito mailalagay.
Well, unang-una, ang pagkakaalam ko, yan ay executive budget. So normally, ang naglalatag niyan ay ang punong ehekutibo. So tinitignan nila kada distrito, yung ahensya na in charge yan. Like for example, sa DPWH, kung ano yung mga pangangailangan ng kada distrito. At syempre, aayusin nila kung ano yung mga dapat ayusin, kagaya ng mga kalsada, mga eskwelahan, o mga kung ano-ano pa na mga dapat. Yung mga congressman, may mga pagkakataon na nagbibigay ng mga suggestion dahil ito rin ay base din sa mga nire-request ng mga nasa baba. Like mga barangay, mga eskwelahan. So ito ay pino-forward sa national government at tignan nila kung may mga kailangan ayusin. So, ito yung mga nilalatag, hindi lamang sa sa isang ahensya, lahat naman ng ahensya yan. So, yun po ang pagkakaintindi ko po dyan.
So wala pong leadership fund, sir?
Ang alam ko binabanggit ni Secretary Bonoan na leadership fund ay leadership fund siya senador. Parang yun ang binanggit niya Yun ang pagkakaintindi ko po.
Actually, Ma'am Tina, first time ko rin po marinig yun yung leadership fund na yan, to be honest with you.
Well, to be clear, yung pong binabanggit ni Secretary Bonoan doesn't cover this particular Congress, no? The 20th Congress. It probably refers to the 19th Congress, no? So, maganda maitanong, no, yung previous leadership kung is this something that actually exists? Do they confirm what Secretary Bonoan stated, no? So, I think yun po yung first step na kailangan pong gawin sa bagay po na yan.
All right, thank you, Tina. Let's hear now from Vivian. You have your question.
So, Presiding Officer Escudero said nung nakaraan, I asked the clerk of court to monitor the public statements of the counsels of the parties this past week, and one side has been crossing the line many times. I can even name all of you who have been commenting on social media in violation of the Rule 18 of the impeachment rules. Does the prosecution feel alluded to, Tito? Why or why not?
Well, first and foremost, we'd like to know on Monday kung what are these specific violations imposed, specific violations on Rule 18 that derived from the actual postings of on Facebook or on social media. So we actually do not know, but it was said in generic, no? It was said in general term, but we do not actually know kung ano yung mga postings of some of the prosecutors have made or uploaded on social media. Right now, what the House Prosecution Panel is now trying to anticipate is that on Monday there will be a directive from the court, and then to specify what are the possible what are the violations that they think have made by some of the prosecution panel. We can only respond accordingly kung alam po natin kung ano magiging direktiba ng ng impeachment court.
Well, we don't feel alluded to kasi alam po niyo sa bawat araw ng pagtatapos, no? At pagsisimula pa nga nung pong proceedings po sa Senado, nagsasalita naman po yung pong prosecution tsaka yung defense eh. So ibig sabihin, there will always be a post-trial press briefing by both parties, no? So I don't feel alluded to, and sa totoo lang ho, kung makikita ho natin, meron ho talaga mga fighting words, hindi ba? Both parties, no, dito sa proceedings po na ito. I don't think if you have fighting words, it would mean that you are actually violating the rules, no? So, tingin ko that is well within the right of whichever party to describe how the proceedings had been done in the last couple of days, no? So, kami po, antayin ho namin yung pong pagdating po ng Lunes, and of course, if there will be guidelines that will be imposed, we will comply with what the Senate Impeachment Court will state.
Let's also put things into its right perspective, no? Kung ang napapansin po nila yung sa House Prosecution Panel, medyo ang kan pag-explain po sa ating taong bayan ay medyo sabi nga ni just to borrow the terms of Congressman Terry Ridon, fighting words, it's because we feel that this is the most important thing that the House Prosecution Panel or the Congress is doing, to hold the Vice President to account. Kasi galit po talaga dapat ang taong bayan sa pagbawaldas ng pera ng taong bayan. That's why these words come out from the words that came out from the House Prosecution Panel only reflect the kind of disgust that we have over the misuse of the confidential funds, and in general the funds of the people.
Alam po ninyo, hindi naman kasi maiiwasan, no, pagdating sa mga interviews na ipaliwanag namin yung kung ano nangyari doon sa trial. Kung minsan, maaaring sabihin natin, nagtatouch na tayo doon sa merito ng kaso. Bakit po hindi maiiwasan? Kasi po, lalo na ngayon, usong-uso yung fake news. Yun po yung nilalabanan namin dito na sa ganun, mas maunawaan ng taong bayan kung ano talaga ang nangyari. Kasi kung hindi naman namin ito ipaliliwanag, baka mas paliwanagan po ng taong bayan ay yung fake news. So sino po ang magsesensor sa fake news?
Okay. And then, may news article nga po saying that the Vice President joined her brother Paulo in court proceedings on alleged grave threats. Pero dito nga po sa impeachment proceedings, hindi pa po siya humaharap. Ano po what does it show?
Ayun, katulad ng binanggit ho natin kanina, meron po nga selective attendance yung po nga pangalang Pangulo, no? Of course, the proceedings of her brother matters, no? Kasi syempre kapatid niya ho yun. Pero I think the more important proceeding for her would be her own grave threats proceeding at the Senate impeachment court, no? Tapos na ho yun ngayon and she did not attend it. And our expectation po talaga and the public's expectation, magpakita po yung pangalang Pangulo sa kanya pong paglilitis hanggang pinakadulo. Kasi ang totoo naman ho, she doesn't have to speak there, pero ultimately, kailangan ho niya talagang harapin yung mga tanong eh. Katulad na binabanggit ho natin nung nagdaan, there are 125 million questions that need to be answered for this confidential funds issue. She has to answer why did they use Mary Grace Piatos, surnames of senators and congressmen when acknowledgement receipts were signed, no? At pag linapag ho yung NBI report, kailangan ho nilang ipaliwanag na rito. Kumbaga, noong nakaraan, pwede ho natin palusutin yung fictitious names eh. Great, hindi ba? Basta yung kada tao noon, natanggap ho nila yung pera. Pero pag linatag ho yung NBI report, doon ho natin makikita eh. Iilang tao, iilang grupo, isang grupo lang yung pumirma po doon sa mga bulto ng mga resibo po na yon. So, ibig sabihin, okay may fictitious names, basta nakuha nung mga tao po yung pera. Pero kung ang sinasabi ng NBI, sila-sila lang ho yung pirma, sino yung tumanggap ng pera? Hindi ba? Ibig sabihin, hindi ho one signature, one person ho yung tumanggap ng pera, kundi one signature, many signatures, one syndicate. Hindi ba? Magkaibang factual situation po yun when we get to the NBI report.
Well, tayo naman lahat po tayo may mga kapamilya, may mga kapatid tayo. So we understand if the Vice President felt the need to perform her obligation to her sibling, no, by being present during the arraignment, no. But the way that she displayed her loyalty or her obligation to her sibling should also equate the obligation that she need to perform by facing the charges hurled against her. Yung obligasyon niya naman sa taong bayan. Hindi ho natin nakita yon dahil hindi ho siya pupunta at hindi ho siya pumunta sa mga aligasyon na mga kaso, mga aligasyon na napupunta po sa kanya. So sana po nakita din natin yung pag-perform niya ng kanyang obligation being part of the family to the obligation that she has for the country. Again, by facing these charges head-on and explain to the public straight from her kung meron ba talagang misuse of public funds. No? Up to now, wala po tayong naririnig sa kanya. Kaya nga po sinabi ni Congressman Terry Ridon, ay mukhang selective yung pagpupunta niya, no, sa mga ganitong klaseng issues, no. At mukhang may similarity, no. Bakit ang nagtatanong ang taong bayan, ba't sila ang hinaharap nila ay puros connected sa mga violenteng pananalita, no? I mean, the Vice President has been charged with the grave threat, and also her brother is facing another case of grave threat. So, nagtatanong ang taong bayan, bakit puros na lang violent related yung mga issues na kinakaharap nila?
But just to clarify po, hindi naman required si Vice President to attend the impeachment proceedings?
Hindi, tama po yan. Hindi siya required to attend the impeachment proceedings. Pero ang totoo, kung meron ho siyang righteous indignation dito po sa proceedings na ginaganap po laban sa kanya, she should be there to look at the prosecutors in the eye na mga sinungaling kayong lahat. Walang batayan yung kaso ninyo. But she hasn't done it. Chief Justice Corona did it during his own impeachment, even if he were convicted. Siguro as a final point, actually nagulat po kami kahapon na meron palang grave threats case po si Congressman Duterte at pinuntahan nga ni Vice President Sara Duterte. At tama ho yung binabanggit po ni Congressman Adyong na it is interesting na may kinakaharap pong grave threats issue ang pangalang Pangulo at may kinakaharap din pong grave threats issue ang kanya pong kapatid. So parang like brother, like sister po ito. And the question to them is, and the question of the nation is, does it actually run in the family? Hindi ba? So I think yan po yung mga very important questions that need to be answered moving forward.
Sorry, mag-other issues lang ako na. Kay Kong Adyong lang po, on BSKE. The COMELEC said yesterday, sana na-ready sila to conduct the elections this coming November 2nd. At kung pwede daw po na mag-decide by September, is that possible?
Oh yeah, just to confirm, meron pong I think on more than 10 versions that have already been referred to the committee, to my committee, and isa sa pinag-uusapan natin whether we would come out with a report, a committee report that would avoid possible legal troubles, no? Kasi meron po, we also being guided by the Makalintal case, the ruling of the Supreme Court, as well as to make sure that whatever it would be the step that the committee would take, no, moving forward, ay hindi siya violative doon sa sinabing ruling na yun ng court. So yes, we are also conscious about the timeline kasi nagpa-prepare na po ang COMELEC. Ang sinasabi po is should there be any postponement or rescheduling or resetting the date of the election for the BSK, sana mas mabilis. That's why ginagawa po natin hopefully by next week ay itutuloy po natin yung hearing na yon para yung pinaka-intention really about the resetting the election of the BSK ay mapunta doon sa pinaka-reason kung bakit ito i-reschedule, in which is that the country is now facing an energy crisis, no, para po hindi magkaroon po ng ng sinasabi po nilang election fatigue, because in the first place dito po sa region namin sa BAR magkakaroon din po ng BARM election, first regular BARM election. So definitely we will be we're looking at coming up with a committee report on before the end of this month, no, but we are not confirming whether this committee report would really ought to postpone or to reset the election, kasi magkaiba po yung ibig sabihin niyang postponement and resetting and fixing. Kaya nga po pinag-uusapan natin dito sa committee ay yung mga possible na legal na po pwedeng ma-violate niya as to the Makalintal ruling para maiwasan po natin in how to properly address the intention to reschedule the barangay election without necessarily violating any rules or any rulings of the Supreme Court, and as well as to also exercise the power of the House to fix or to reset the election for the BSK election. Meron pong isang 1 year yung magiging next na election, kumbaga 1 year yung magiging rescheduling, meron namang 2 years. Ang iniisip din natin dito, kung next year siya, ang sinabi ng COMELEC, it would be on November of next year, no? So next year kasi magsa-start na rin po yung filing for the presidential national and local election. So baka magkaroon din po ng problema kasi magpa-prepare din po ang COMELEC nung mga magpa-prepare po ng COMELEC to accept nomination, CONA, and registry, and as well as yung pag-file ng mga senador, presidente next year. So yun din po yung isa na tinitingnan namin. Of course, we don't also want to burden COMELEC with much work, no? Kaya isa po sa mga version na ang tinitingnan is after the 2028 presidential election, doon mag-conduct ng barangay and sanggunian kabataan elections. So may mga differences po ng versions. What I'm telling you right now is that we are currently discussing it in how to consolidate these different and various versions.
Okay, last na lang sir, kasi nabanggit niyo yung energy crisis. Hindi po ba pwedeng supplemental budget na lang to address yung mga funding concerns? And NAMFREL is also opposing the proposed suspension. They're saying this dilutes local accountability precisely where it matters the most, the level of government closest to the citizen. Barangay officials are influential mobilizers in national campaigns and critics. So may question daw po ng timing.
Well, unang-una kasi pag supplemental budget, you really have to conduct na naman additional hearings and additional plenary discussion. So it will also take some time. Kung yung pong gagawin natin, it would still forfeit the very purpose of responding to the calamities and to the crisis. And sa atin naman, ang pinaka-importante na tinitingnan po natin ay yung sabi ko nga, yung COMELEC would have a ano tawag dito, an enough time to prepare for the election, no? That's number one concern, no? Number two concern is that yung sinasabi po natin kasing mga possible na mga reasons on why we need to postpone the election, nandun naman din po sa ruling ng Makalintal. Ang sinasabi po nila is there would be there is a there's really enough reason for the House of Representatives, for Congress for that matter, to exercise their plenary powers to reset the election. Nakikita po natin yung isang enough reason is because of the volatility of the situation now happening over the state of Hormuz, which actually this is not just something that we anticipate, but we have already felt the impact of the crisis, no? So yun po yung pinaka number one na nakikita natin, na isa sa mga reasons kung bakit kailangan natin or in-anticipate natin na magkakaroon po ng possible na rescheduling of the election. Pero ito po yung mga issues na pinag-uusapan po sa committee hearings, at sinasabi ko lang po yung mga possible na mangyayari at yung mga possible na gusto nating makuhang inputs para po if ever that the committee will come up with the committee report, it would also look at all other areas, pros and cons, and then so that we can consolidate and come up with a more reasonable proposal for the House of Representatives to approve, to enact, no? Lahat po ito ay tinitingnan natin, pros and cons, at binabalanse po natin ito. We cannot give you the concrete and final answer to that kasi nga po ongoing pa po yung deliberation. At bago po natin pinag-usapan ito, first initial po na committee hearing ang na co-conduct po natin.
Okay, salamat po. Now we can hear from Vel.
Good morning po, Kongs. Bakit po kailangang ipasubpoena si Ortonio, and ano po ba dapat yung masuffice niya dun sa mga gagawing statements ni Acosta?
Hindi pa namin po pwedeng i-divulge yan dahil antayin muna natin yung kanina magiging statement. Otherwise, mapangungunahan at mababasa tayo ng defense.
On the other topics rin po kay Kong Adyong, updates din po doon sa hearing kahapon about sa party list reform naman po.
Yes, so nag-create na po tayo ng upon of course the agreement ng lahat po ng mga authors. Nag-create po tayo ng TWG kasi again, marami din pong versions ang panukalang batas para ireforma ang party list. So minarapat po natin na mapag-usapan ito in the TWG para po lahat po ng mga nais nilang ma-include sa lahat ng mga different versions, pati na rin po ang stakeholders, no? Kasi ang gusto din po natin, umupo din po yung mga stakeholders dito, tulad halimbawa ng Lente, yung other CSOs, as well as ang commission on elections, to come up with a reconciled version, no? So sa ngayon, nandun na po, nag-create na po na tayo ng TWG at inaasahan po natin na lalabas po yung magiging substitute committee proposed measure from the TWG. So gusto po natin din itong madaliin. Hindi mas madaliin, pero we want to make this expeditious as possible because this is also part of the LEDAC priority. Ang tinitingnan natin, isa sa mga nakita po natin na maganda din na sa suggestion ay yung pagkakaroon po ng party list reform kasi in-anticipate din po natin malapit na po yung 2028, no? And ang problema din po ng COMELEC kung hindi ho siya timely na ma-aproba ay baka magka-problema sila doon sa pag-allow or pag-accept ng mga parties na magse-certify sa kanila to participate in the national election. That's why tinitingnan din po natin ito na baka magkaroon po ng transition period before its actual implementation. Kasi again, we don't also want to burden COMELEC with too much work. We anticipate that then this year magkakaroon po ng election and the next year magkakaroon ng preparation for the local and national election. So let's just wait for the TWG kung ano po yung magiging resulta ng kanilang discussion po dyan.
Are we targeting na maipasa to sa third reading before the session break?
Depende po yan sa but what we are trying to our target really is before the end of this year ay sana meron na po tayong committee report na may hain sa plenaryo. But we are also conscious about the time that the House of Representatives will be spending on the budget. Kasi nagkasabay po ito sa ating budget deliberation. So titingnan po natin, i-adjust natin. But we hope that we can, at the very least, come up with the committee report and then report this to the plenary before the end of this year. Because this is, again, part of the LEDAC priority.
Good morning po. Evan Alvarez po from UNTV4, Congressman Adjong po. Regarding po the upcoming budget deliberations, ano na po yung preparation ng Appropriations Committee considering na budget briefings na po sa Monday? And as for you po bilang Vice Chairperson ng committee, how are you preparing po considering na meron din kayong duties sa impeachment? Will you prioritize one over the other po? Thank you.
It's not even a question of prioritizing, it's actually doing all this work, no? Kasi again, sinasabi po naman natin lahat over time and time again, ang design naman po ang klase ng trabaho natin to deal multiple concerns eh. And you're right, meron na po tayong preparation for the upcoming budget deliberation. Sa ngayon, ina-assign pa po, no, in the process of assigning the vice chair for the individual agency para po doon sa scheduling ng kanilang budget preparation. So tayo naman, it's just a matter of adjusting eh. Hindi naman din natin po pwedeng sabihin na we will focus on one area or try to do this, try to focus on the impeachment trial, not focusing also or not doing our job as vice chair. So it's a matter of it's a matter of adjusting naman at saka time management. At kaya naman natin gawin to eh. So wala namang problema as to how we perform our job as vice chair and how we also perform our task being named as one of the spokespersons for the House Prosecution Panel.
All right, thank you. Haji, your turn.
Magandang tanghali po. Kung sakasakali po na i-restrict even yung prosecutors na, halimbawa lang naman po, humarap at magpaliwanag sa mga press briefings, do you intend or do you plan to adjust and magdagdag po siguro ng spokespersons na makakasama ni na Kong Zia, or sapat na po yung lineup ni na Kong Zia, ni Kong Rene at saka ni Kong Ace, given na humaharap din po si Attorney Benjamin Tolosa Jr.?
Ang totoo naman ho, more than sufficient na po yung meron po tayo, no? Si Kong Zia, kita niyo naman ho, I think he can ably discuss yung pong mga goings on, yung pong day-to-day na takbo ng pong impeachment. Si Kong Rene din po, at saka si Kong Ace, no, can basically do the same tasks, no? Pagka ho nag-stricto yung pong Senate Impeachment Court. But again, ang posisyon naman ho natin, tingin ko dapat ho yung pong mga prosecutors and defense panel named in the Senate Impeachment Court should still be able to explain to the public, to the nation, the goings on of the impeachment trial. Kasi ang totoo naman ho, sila din ho yung meron pong pinaka malaking stake dito po sa bagay na ito. Yung pong mga nakapangalan ng mga prosecutors at defense, no? Dito po. So, tingin ko, again, hopefully yung pong balanse ng overarching need for public information and explaining to the public yung pong kahalagahan ng paglilitis po na ito at bawat ebidensya, yun po yung dapat manaig na prinsipyo. Higit pa doon sa pagiging istrikto dito po sa mga pahayag na inilalabas. And again, for as long as hindi po ito fake news, hindi po ito disinformation, hindi po ito misinformation, dapat magpatuloy lang po yung ginagawa po ng depensa, ng prosecution at ng korte po mismo.
Kung magkakaroon po ng paghigpit ang ating Senate Impeachment Court, ay mababawasan po yung aming spokes dahil si Attorney J ay pati siya ay mababawasan. Pero tama, I agree with Congressman Terry Ridon dahil sa totoo lang, mas makakaunawa kung bakit inilatag yung mga ebidensyang yan o bakit inopose ay yung mismong miyembro ng prosecution panel at yung miyembro ng defense panel. Dahil kung ano ang dahilan, mas maipapaliwanag dahil sila yung nag-strategize niyan. Bagamat kami naman ay natutuwa dahil yung mga spokes namin, sila Kong Zia, Kong Rene, Kong Ace, sila Kong Pao ay na-articulate din naman po nila yung mga nais naming ipalabas. Pero siguro mas maganda nga kung mapagbibigyan pa or lagyan natin ng mas luwag yung magkabilang panig nang sa ganon ay mas maunawaan ng taong bayan kung bakit inilatag yung ebidensya at kung bakit din naman inopose ng depensa.
Ako, it's a matter of actually, sa nangyayari po lang sa ngayon, ang pinaka-primary consideration kung bakit meron pong nagpapaliwanag sa ating taong bayan ay para maintindihan po ng ating taong bayan kung what is at stake in the impeachment trial. No? Apart from that, yung detailed na dapat maintindihan ng taong bayan kasi hindi lang ho sila nakikinig sa napag-uusapan dyan, na-educate din po sila. No? In fact, nung last hearing, marami pong na-realize nila na, okay, sa mga korte pala, ano pala yung purpose ng leading at saka misleading questions, no? So I think it's also the process of, in the conduct of the impeachment trial, at the same time, the people, the public is also being educated at mas malalaman po nila. Mas nadadagdagan po nila ang kanilang kaalaman patungkol po doon sa sinasabi ng ating Constitution at ano po yung dapat nilang mga nararapat na malaman. No? Pagdating naman po sa pag-utilize o paggamit ng kanilang pondo. Pangatlo, remember po, ito pong mga public prosecutors, they are not just prosecutors but they are also have mandate and elected by the people. They are also member of the House of Representatives. Ibig sabihin, they are also being expected to share their opinion on certain matters of national importance and national issues, no, concerns. So, kung babalikan po naman natin yung naging pahayag nila sa kanilang mga interviews, sa kanilang mga statements, wala naman po silang dinidiscuss or sinasabi sa ating publiko na hindi pa po napag-uusapan sa korte. Ibig sabihin, what they have actually said is a response to the questions by the media discussing merits or discussing things or merits, you can call it merits, that have already been laid out in an open court. So, ibig sabihin na pag-usapan na to at narinig ng taong bayan. Pero, kailangan pa ng taong bayan ng additional information para ma-explain po sa kanila. Kung babalikan po nyo, lahat po ng kanilang naging statements, naging interview, lahat po yun pagpapaliwanag sa mga bagay na napag-usapan sa korte. At hindi po mga bagay na hindi pa po naipapresenta ng House Prosecution Panel. So kung po tatanungin nyo, mas maganda para sa akin na tuloy-tuloy po yung kanilang engagement sa media para po maintindihan ng mas maayos ng ating taong bayan kung ano po yung napag-uusapan sa korte at ano po yung dapat nilang malaman patungkol sa mga usapin na kinakailangan nilang malaman. Because again, what is at stake here is the public interest dahil pera ng taong bayan ang nilustay dito.
Okay, last two po.
Excuse me.
yes po, sorry.
As a last point, siguro balikan din ho natin yung pong directive din po nung presiding officer nung nagdaan. Kasi I distinctly remember na we wanted to make manifestations during the floor deliberations, no? Doon po sa court itself. But ang sabi po ng presiding officer, this sa press conference nyo lang yan banggitin, no? So ibig ko sabihin, ang totoo naman ho, if we will be restricted to speaking before the public outside of court, particularly po yung mga named prosecutors and defense, no? And then we will probably be constrained to raise it during the impeachment trial itself, no? So baka yun yung magiging recourse, no? Pagka ganun. So I don't know what the impact of that will be, but I'm quite certain kung may mga manifestation that we feel as prosecutors should be raised during the trial itself, we will insist on it. Hindi ba? Kasi kung halimbawa, meron talaga mga lagpas na mga binabanggit. Halimbawa, should we stop ourselves from actually articulating it before whichever forum? So if the presiding officer will make it the forum, which is the trial itself, then we will make it our forum instead of yung po outside the trial na mga press briefings.
I will give you a straight answer. Kung halimbawa hindi na ho payagan yung mga prosecutors, especially from the House Prosecution Panel na magsalita, ang personal opinion ko, mas gusto kong maging spokesperson ito si Congressman Joel Chua at saka si Congressman Terry Ridon, di ba? Nakita niyo naman po paano sila mag-explain.
Okay. Speaking of manifestation, may update lang po, naghain daw po ng manifestation yung kampo ni VP Sara para daw po igiit na kailangan ng oral argument sa kanya pong motion to quash na may kinalaman po sa grave threats. According to Attorney Paul Lawrence Lim, if I may read, if a sitting vice president may be indicted and prosecuted, then other incumbent impeachable officers such as the Ombudsman, members of the Constitutional Commission, Supreme Court justices, and even the president may also be indicted and prosecuted daw po. Would you like to comment on it?
Well, yung sa presidente kasi may specific provision talaga, may presidential immunity. Unlike dun sa vice president, siguro mas maganda, antay na lang natin na yung proper forum ang magresolba niyan kaysa po kami.
Yeah, but again, going back to that particular defense of the vice president, ano ibig niyang sabihin? Pwede siya may saksakin ngayon tapos wala akong accountability? Yung po nga pangalang Pangulo. Yun yung basic logic po ng question eh. At ng kanila pong posisyon dyan eh. Hindi ba? Na pagka, ibig sabihin, gagawa na lang ng kung anumang krimen. Grave threats man yan, alarm and scandal man yan, and worse, di ba? Pagpatay. Hindi po ba? At yan yung sasabihin mo. Sasabihin mo, everyone else, all impeachable officers can be charged. No, my answer to that is, yes, they will be charged. Pagka meron ho silang actual na ginawang krimen, even during the course of their term.
Last na lang po. Sabi niyo kung Terry, lumiliit ang mundo ni Vice President Sara Duterte aside from the impeachment trial. May grave threats nga po siyang kinaharap. Sabi po ng isang analyst ay na unti-unti na raw pong nasisira, natitibag yung pagiging unbeatable daw po ng mga Duterte. In fact, in a survey, tugon ng masa, if I'm not mistaken, from July 4 to 11, lamang po hypothetically ang tambalan ni ni former Vice President Lenny and Raffy Tulfo against VP Sara and Amy Marcos. Palagay po ninyo sa itinatakbo po ng paglilitis na to, lalo pa pong bababa yung pagiging unbeatable ni VP Sara sa 2028?
Ang totoo, wala kaming pakialam doon sa surveys eh. Kung unbeatable po siya o beatable ho siya. Ang focus ho ng prosecution dito, panagutin ho siya doon sa mga ginawa ho po niya na mga gawain. Grave threats, paglustay po ng confidential funds, mga hindi maipaliwanag na yaman. No, so, kung meron po yung actual impact doon sa kanyang unbeatability or beatability, wala kaming pakialam doon. So, we will let the nation decide that, whether today or in the future. No? So, yun po.
Alright. Kung yun na yung pinakahuling question, we could wrap up. And maybe if our panelists would want to say their parting word.
Siguro panghuling punto na lang po. Nitong simula po ng linggo, si Mayor Benjamin Magalong ng Baguio City ay nagpakawala ng kasinungalingan laban po sa House Prosecution Panel stating na mayroon daw po kaming insertions, no? At pangiti-ngiti lang daw po yung pong mga prosecutors na ito sa impeachment trial ng ating pong pangalang Pangulo. Sinagot na ho natin yan nung nagdaan at challenge po natin si Mayor Magalong na magpangalan nung pong mga House prosecutors na sinasabi po niya na meron pong insertions. Sumagot po siya, ang sabi niya, hindi daw aamin ang kung sino man hong mayroon pong insertions. And ngayon ho ay sinasara na po namin ng usapin na ito. Mayor Magalong did not name names within this week. Ibig sabihin, wala siyang pangalan kung sino po yung mga House prosecutors na sinasabi po niyang mayroon pong insertions sa budget po natin. And to reiterate, paano magkakaroon po ng insertions yung po mga House prosecutors? Kakalapag lang po ng NEP ngayon pong linggo. Pangalawa, ang sabi ho, for the 2026 budget, wala ho yung insertions tiniyak ng Senado, Kongreso at ng ating pong Pangulo. At panghuli, wala pang deliberasyon ang House Committee on Appropriations. So paano po magkakaroon ng insertions? So tinutuldukan ho namin ang usapin na ito. Sinungaling si Mayor Magalong, wala pong insertions ang mga House prosecutors sa kahit ano pong budget, whether for 2026 or whether for 2027. So yun lamang po. Maraming salamat.
Alright, on that note, muli po, maraming salamat sa ating mga kaibigan sa media na sumama sa atin sa kabila ng masungit na panahon, sa ating mga kababayan na sumusubaybay sa ating panayam sa ating YouTube and Facebook platform. At syempre, sa ating mga panauhin ngayon, sila Congressman Terry Ridon, Congressman Joel Chua at Congressman Sia Alonto Adyong. Sa ating pong lahat, ingat po tayo. Magandang tanghali po sa ating lahat.